November 2, 2022. Good day all. This is a message from Sierra Victor. We started a new program on civil disturbances sourced from the U.S. Army Field Manual FM 319.15 on civil disturbance operations written in 2005. Chapter 3 Search Principles. A subject should always be put at a disadvantage and searched immediately, but circumstances may dictate postponing the search until a safer place can be found. At a minimum, a quick pat-down can be done en route to a safer location. The longer the apprehension takes, the greater the risk of drawing a hostile crowd and violent acts toward the control force. Crowds often sympathize with the subject and try to help him or escalate the activities of the crowd toward violence. A subject's actions may also incite the crowd to violence. The longer a subject is the focal point of an apprehension, the easier it is to stir a crowd to hostile or violent acts. Apprehension teams should choose to move the subject out of the crowd's view. For the safety of the team, always apply cable ties or handcuffs and escort the subject to an area where a search can be done safely. Search team members never operate alone. Searches are conducted by a minimum of 2 team members. Initial steps must be taken to put the subject at a physical disadvantage. Before conducting a search, regardless of rank, sex, position, age, or physical condition, a team member applies the handcuffs or cable ties. Verbal commands must be short, clear, and distinct. A search is conducted on everyone that has been apprehended to ensure that the team and those being apprehended are safe. The searchman must abide by the following procedures when conducting a search. Search in a clear, secure area, when possible. Be ready to counter any resistance or an assault by the subject. Consider the subject armed until proven, by search, otherwise. Employ the appropriate level of force immediately, based on the actions of the subject. Do not step over the subject when he is at a disadvantage on the ground. Go around him and remain out of sight. Do a 360-degree search of the subject's waistline for weapons. Search obvious and inconspicuous areas. Inconspicuous areas such as the groin, armpits, chest, and small of the back must be searched on both men and women. However, do not linger in these areas. Note: conduct same-gender searches when possible. If mixed-gender searches are necessary for speed or security, conduct them in a respectful manner and avoid any action that could be interpreted as sexual in nature. To prevent allegations of sexual misconduct, the apprehension officer shows careful control of the soldiers who perform mixed-gender searches. Maintain security. Brief subjects quickly on what to do and who to follow. Remember that when conducting a search, a subject's body can be divided for a more efficient and thorough search. For example, search from head to toe or from side to side. Note: the searchman announces the items found and secures weapons and contraband. Military forces, when supporting civil authorities, may perform searches of people and property that are not usually subject to military law during a civil disturbance. Remember that it is always better for civilian police to search civilians and civilian property, when possible. Remember that if military forces are called upon to support police, it is usually a last resort and there are not enough civilian officers available to accomplish the mission. Military personnel may search people incident to an apprehension. The prescribed methods of searching someone are the frisk, the standing, and the prone. The method of search used largely depends on the situation and the mission. Searches are made not only of the subject and his personal effects such as purses, bags, and wallets, but also of the immediate surrounding area. This prevents the subject being searched from grabbing a weapon or destroying evidence. It may also be necessary for military forces to search private property, including vehicles, if there is reasonable belief that a person has committed or is committing a violent crime and is hiding in a building or a vehicle. Reasonable belief that a vehicle contains weapons or instruments of violence. Probable cause for searching a building or a vehicle. Probable cause to believe that, unless immediate action is taken, evidence of a crime will be destroyed before a warrant can be obtained. Note: search teams should always consist of 2 personnel, one to conduct the search, and the other to provide security and overwatch for the soldier conducting the search. Before being searched, a subject should always be restrained and put at a disadvantage by securing his hands with handcuffs or cable ties. Ask the subject if there is anything in his pockets that could hurt the searcher, such as knives or needles. Due to WhatsApp audio length, we try and keep our messages between 5 and 8 minutes to have full impact. We will continue in our next message on civil disturbances with Chapter 3 Frisk Searches. Thank you for listening or reading this message. Please feel free to use and distribute as needed. Our messages are not by any means enticing you to a revolution of sorts, but rather to equip you with the necessary theoretical background in order to assist local armed forces or police in stabilizing a SHTF situation. Please contact any admin on any Sierra Victor group for our previous material or search for our channel on YouTube. We wish you well. Sierra Victor.